So, of course, yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I am Lucy Garpetian. I am the newly appointed chairwoman of the Armenian Bar Association as of Monday. Very excited to come back to this post again. We have been working with the Loyola Law School team for about a year now to put the symposium together. And the way that it happened is that we first hosted a symposium at Southwestern Law School. That led us, he invited us to present at the SEALS conference. And that's where we met Professor Hug. And we did a 1-hour program at the SEALS conference. And at the end of it, Professor Hug said, 1 hour is not enough.
One of them, we did this last year for a conference in Florida, and that's when I, as an international law professor, really first got focused on the Caucasus, and this is not good. It's just a tragic situation. And I will introduce you, although I don't think many of you need introduction, but for the record, before I introduce our wonderful guests, you see our law school, our university here, and of course, you know our topic today, right? Avoid in international law, human rights in unrecognized and partially recognized states. It is a phenomenon that illustrates the fictions alive in international law today, how it is and is subject to agreement and disagreement and ineffectiveness, as we all know. As we look around us, we can't help but look at the news and the other areas where international law has faced serious challenges, and that's, to put it politely, of course. The topic today is clear: the humanitarian crisis for the ethnic Armenian community in Nagorno-Karabakh, Artsakh, as a result of Azerbaijan's complete military encirclement, blockade, and ultimately, in September of last year, the blitzkrieg, if you will, of Nagorno-Karabakh, and the surrender of that jurisdiction to the Azerbaijani forces, which proceeds unabated. If you sit with your news feed, my news feed, because it's tailored, of course, you'll see the huge iron or steel machines tearing down the parliament today and yesterday. in Nagorno-Karabakh, and it's clear what's happening. So oft ignored questions about the universality and effectiveness of non-derogable international human rights norms. Do you have to be a country to have these norms enforceable? And the answer, of course, is no. Certainly do not. You know the lay of the land. Many people, very many people, are not really familiar with this region. And between the Black Sea and the Caspian and the changing economic tides of this area, the changing stance of Russia in regards to Armenia and to this conflict, the rise of the oil revenues in Baku, and the way this has played out. You can see here, I'm sure you all are very well aware of all this, and it's trickier than it looks. Azerbaijan is now seeking a way to build a corridor to Turkey. Iran is to the south, and Russia to the north, and this is really where there's a lot of action these days. It's something. Okay, we all know that on September 19th, on 19th of September, yes, and the morning of the 20th, the attack came, and it was a devastating attack that promptly resulted in the surrender and the end of this military battle anyway, for sure. A lot of destruction. People rushing to the buses and to their cars and trucks, heading for the narrow corridor that makes its way to Armenia through the Lakin corridor. These scenes are not a shock. I mean, this is what you would expect through this particular area. Here you get an aerial view of this tragedy. I made a presentation for the ELPIS law group, a European law group, earlier this year, arguing that this amounted to ethnic cleansing for sure, easily, and in fact genocide, not to mention other crimes against humanity. If you ever want to go to the ELPIS, ELPIS, European Legal Practice Integrated Studies, invented to copy a Greek word, but that's beside the point, of course. You're welcome to Google it. So with that introduction, I'd like to lead us to our two wonderful speakers this morning. We are thrilled to get to meet in person and on Zoom for these particular topics. Okay, first we have Anna Nasibian, yes, and we're talking about distinguished academics here. Ms. Nasibian from Columbia University, a master's in public administration at their School of International and Public Affairs. She studied before that, earning her Bachelor of Arts in Law at the University of Cambridge, and she's worked in London and New York, and of course in Yerevan, where she has extensive experience, and that is indeed your home. So that's just talk about authenticity. We strive for authenticity, and here it is. We are delighted at that. She also serves as the managing editor of the Journal of International Affairs out of New York, and her list of publications is likewise impressive. After this, we'll have the pleasure of Dr. Professor Eleni Mika. Please, Doctor, forgive me if I'm not perfect, but I'll do better. Again, another true scholar. She has her Doctor of Laws with honors from the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, also has studied at Leiden. I've had the pleasure of some of our students to Leiden, one of the oldest classical universities in Europe. Uh, it's a delightful place. And she has special honors from the International Committee of the Red Cross for original research from now. From 2017 till today, she's been a member of the teaching staff at the University of the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens again, Department of International Studies. She's an attorney of law, a visiting lecturer at the Frederick University School of Business and Law in Cyprus, very impressive, a lecturer from the School of Economic and Political Sciences and the Faculty of Turkish and Modern Asian Studies, again at National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. Likewise, in public international law there, and international protection of human rights, teaching international criminal law. She's been a visiting researcher at Groningen, beautiful Gothic Renaissance place in the north of the Netherlands. And she's a regular member of the Committee for Complementarity in International Criminal Law. She's been a visiting fellow at the Max Planck Institute in Heidelberg, The Hague, in Greece, and on and on. She's a national correspondent for the Yearbook of International Humanitarian Law, and likewise has many publications. So we are truly honored to have them here as we learn more and get a deeper appreciation of the difficult issues that we face. So we have Anna Beyond Sovereignty, Rethinking Human Rights Enforcement, and her witness today.
Good morning, and thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I want to extend my gratitude to the organizers for making this event possible. It's an honor to be here to discuss the pressing issue of the intersection of international law and human rights and the enforcement of human rights in unrecognized territories. The complexity of global politics has led many regions in a state of limbo, where the lack of international recognition affects not only diplomatic relationships, but deeply impacts the human rights situation on the ground. Among these regions, Nagorno-Karabakh stands out as a pivotal example for our analysis today in the light of the situation that occurred in autumn of 2023, where despite the violations, the people were addressing capacity and international legal limitations by concerning human rights protections amidst ongoing conflict. In contrast, we have Transnistria, a narrow strip of land between the Dniester River and the eastern Moldovan border with Ukraine, potentially marginalized, exists in a state of unrecognized independence with its own government and military, but without broad international recognition. The situation is quite similar in northern Cyprus, which declared independence when Turkish military intervention. Only Turkey recognized northern Cyprus, leaving it isolated from the rest of the international community and complicated its human rights framework. Despite these variances in their history, in historical backgrounds and the geopolitical dynamics that led to their current statuses, Nagorno-Karabakh, Transnistria, and Northern Cyprus share common challenges. These include limited access to international legal mechanisms for human rights protections, ambiguous legal statuses that hinder economic development and political stability, and the constant threat of conflict or diplomatic. In the context of unrecognized enforcement of human rights framework present unique challenges. These areas often establish their own internal legal system and enforcement mechanisms in the absence of international recognition. However, the effectiveness of these systems was significantly influenced by various internal and external pressures. In the case of Karabakh, it had developed its own constitution and legal system, which included Azerbaijan access to external legal remedies and support. So like the European Court of Human Rights, it's very difficult for the citizens of. And finally, with the dissolution of the Republic, reflecting on these institutions and their challenges before the restarted conflict offers critical insight into the fragility of human rights enforcement in such territories. We had similar problems with Transnistria, which had established its own government and language of human